between Wednesdays. Just trying to get by to the next fix. Living between Wednesdays. Prefer the comics over the Netflix. Living between Wednesdays.
It's comics. It's September blurred.
16th.
Okay.
Halfway through September.
Yes.
Already.
Comics.
Comics.
With our eyes. What did you like?
I liked everything.
I mean,
we were talking earlier about who wants to talk about what. Well, I liked basically everything, so I'm easy this week. But briefly mentioned as a shout out before, Immortal Hulk, 37 issues in, still killing it. 37 issues of pure gold. Al Ewing, Joe Bennett, just take everything I have, all of me, all of you. Every issue I'm gonna buy the big sexy hardcovers when they come out. I bought all the single issues. It's creepy. It's
the body horror is wonderful.
Yep, it's a body horror take on the Hulk, and it's been going on for 37 issues, and it's still so I can't name.
Did you ever think your favorite comic out would be a Hulk comic?
No.
Yeah.
I never had beef with the Hulk.
Yeah.
But before this, I was. I remember I asked when it started coming out, I asked a friend, because I was still new-ish to comics, I asked a friend who was more so into comics. I'm like, I like the Hulk, but I don't really like the I'm Green Man help Avengers. I'm like, where's the scarier, more werewolf take on the Hulk, where he has this monster in him that he's trying to hide? And the friend said, there isn't really a ton of stuff like that. And then I started putting together a little story outline, and then Immortal Hulk came, and I haven't touched that outline again since, because I'm not going to beat this.
If you don't write the story, someone else will do it.
Yeah, point taken. Sorry, Marvel, you're never going to get my horror take on the Hulk, so missing out. But new stuff, new number ones. I'm going to talk about the Heavy. The Heavy or just Heavy? Just Heavy. I keep calling it the Heavy.
Yeah.
By Max Bemis and Eric Donovan. And
what is Max Bemis then? Why is that name
The lead singer of Say Anything.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Worst X-Men ever.
Oh,
and Kill Strike. And
Max Bemis did Oh, Kill Strike?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that run of Moon Knight that crapped out on the end.
So I know him best from Moon Knight, because as anybody who watches our podcasts or reads our videos knows,
he said Moon Knight.
I like Moon Knight.
Reads our videos or watches our podcast.
I actually did that on purpose.
That was so good. That was good.
But this was just fun. I mean, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a Punisher. And yeah, it's a Punisher. It's a...
Yes, it's a cosmic Punisher.
He's a big... What's Heavy?
He's got a gut though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, what is the pitch of the Heavy? Excellent question as always, Jay. Punisher dude dies. Him and his wife are killed, so that's the difference, where it's not just the wife is killed and he's out for vengeance. Him and his wife are killed. She presumably gets to go into heaven, but he's in sort of a purgatory. Now, purgatory works in this world is that basically you go there if you're not good enough to go to heaven, not bad enough to go to hell, and then you get a job there to basically pay your way out. Mm-hmm. And the Heavies are the people that go around executing
alternate timeline disturbances.
Yeah, they say multiverse is like a tree, and trees need to be pruned, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you see in this one there's an alternate evil. Is Ben Franklin? Is Thomas Edison? I already forget.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci. Yeah,
Da Vinci
one of those old white guys that made
his,
stuff.
Talents in making art and flying machines to actually make death machines in one of the realities, and then there are branch realities where he presides over those realities as an evil dictator.
I would love to read that comic.
So it's a Heavy's job to go take those guys out to sort of prune the timelines.
Yeah, because one guy is I gotta kill 15 versions of Hitler today.
Which is great. That's very indicative of what I like about this, because I'm a tough guy and I gotta earn my way into heaven by kill. That's been done, right? But I laughed a lot in this. There were just lots of jokes. I really enjoyed that I gotta kill 15 Hitlers. It starts the first time he's explaining, we're go through timelines and punish bad guys. The first thing you see him do is just sock a middle school bully in the face. He's like, don't bully that nerd, he's gonna grow up to be smart. And then he leaves. That's the first job we see him on, and then we go to see him assassinate Da Vinci. Mm-hmm. So that's just a funny scope. You're introduced to a character just beating the shit out of a child bully. That's funny. I like that. I like seeing kids get beat up. What can I say? I'm an easy sell. There was something. Oh, and just in respects to the world building, I just find it hilarious him mentioning. Like I said, he's a heavy, so the heavies do the killings to prove the timelines. But that's not the only job that needs to be done to preserve. And I just found this part very funny, where they're talking about the different tasks people have in the afterlife to help maintain timelines. How there's some people that are cherubics, like a play on cherubs, or succubus, I guess, who can seduce shitty partners and expose them so that righteous folk can meet their actual soulmates. So it's just people with all different jobs of sort of like tweaking people to push them along their proper paths. And there's people like suicide cases. It says Teamsters, suicide cases who now literally leap in front of buses or act as landing pads for jumpers to save their lives.
Huh.
So I enjoyed the it's just humorous world building, which I appreciate. And Max Bemis had a run on Moon Knight, where sort of after the run ended, he sort of released a statement saying like, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now. I'm going to take some time off from comics, and then I'm going to come back. And everything I've read from him since he came back, I've really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really happy to see that the man took some time to take care of himself, and now he's out making some cool new comics. I'm happy to see that.
Am I going?
Yeah, go for
I'm
it.
gonna go with Chip Zdarsky's and Roman Perez's Stillwater.
Stillwater, what's that about?
Excellent question, Jason. I mean, Harrison. I'm glad you asked. Stillwater, a designer. He does this every week. That was the thing. Like, an excellent question. It's a
callback.
Yeah, it's a callback, and I flipped it on its script.
Now when you do it again, it'll be the rule of three.
Yes, exactly. We gotta keep our tricks guessing.
Okay.
Stillwater, a magazine designer or website designer, I guess, because what's a magazine these days? He gets fired because he pushed a guy for being a jerk, and then like that's just not how it happens
There's
in this
a
new
zero-
PC superculture.
PC government.
Yeah.
Peace on that.
Yeah.
Can't say that without a bad Australian accent.
So him and his rich best friend are like drunkenly getting over it, and him being unemployed. Then he gets something in the mail, and his great aunt, don't know her last name, but a great aunt has bequeathed him something in the small town of Stillwater. It's an old backwater town, and they have to go and check it out and see what it is. But something is amiss when they get out there because it's in the middle of nowhere. But there's also a weird supernatural occurrence that happens. Not the craziest, newest plotline you'll ever hear in your life, but it has got that Chip Zdarsky kind of charm and smarm to it. And it's illustrated really well, and I'm curious to see where it goes, because they're also very self-referential, because they're like, oh, it's spooky, they're gonna have to sleep in a haunted house or something. It's not that. And there's a reason it's called Stillwater, and that's the reason why the town is called Stillwater. So yeah, it was an excellent number one.
The man knows how to pace a comic, that's
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah,
It was just a very thoroughly well-paced issue one.
Yeah, it was a very good unraveling
Yes.
of the story. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm just excited to see where it goes, and I've Skybound. I like Skybound so far.
Yeah.
Of course Mike Spicer colored that.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Mike Spicer, stop coloring so many good
Why
comics.
you color stuff so good? He
Right.
does such a great job.
Oh.
Tonally, even for stuff that's
Doesn't
like
he do-
very offbeat, for stuff that's doomy, it's Jordy Belair.
Oh, is Jordan Belair the colorist on all of them?
I think Mike Spicer did the first.
That's what because I thought
Yeah.
Mike Spicer was there, but they're both great. Those are probably the two names I see most often where I'm like, I loved this book. Who colored it? Oh, one of these two people.
Yeah.
It's always them.
Speaking of which, we have a nice smattering color palette right
Yeah,
now.
it's
true.
Yeah.
Usually I
Looking
just
good.
Very fall.
It's colors are contextuals. In context, some colors look nice and some look bad.
Mhm.
Usually for me, I just hate orange, no matter where and when
Really?
and why. I just don't like the color orange. It doesn't look nice to my eyes. But that Daniel Warren Johnson headlopper cover,
It's a subdued orange. It's
It
not
is
like
a subdued- yeah.
a burnt orange.
it's not an
if you will.
obnoxious
Yeah.
orange for sure. And then it's just so gorgeous that I
Now you want to paint
Now
your
I-
walls orange.
now I like orange.
Speaking of orange, Chris. I've been speaking of headlopper. I screwed that up a bit. Come at us with your surprising left turn pick of the week that no
I
one saw
wonder.
coming.
way.
Pick of the week was this week. Headlopper's back. I love this comic. It's such a good comic. Do I love Headlopper? Let me count the ways.
I'm pretty sure when I started here, that was one of the first books you put in my hands. You were like, you have to read this one.
Yeah. It's an adventure comic. This is now the 4th arc. So usually Headlopper comics come as quarterly, big issues, and we get an arc every year. So this is the start of the next arc.
Woo!
You don't necessarily have to read other Headlopper comics to read new Headlopper comics.
But you should, because what, you don't like good comics?
I know,
What you doing?
But if you haven't read any Headlopper, you could read this Headlopper.
He's a pretty
and
easy
just-
character to wrap your head around.
He runs around on quests lopping heads. Sometimes he has a crew, sometimes he does not.
But he always
The
has
quests are different. He always has his smart talking decapitated head bitch who didn't die and still carries magic. Now it is part of the story that sort of unseen evil forces are looking to get a hold of her as they know that she has lots of power. That wasn't always necessarily part of the story.
Yeah, we got more of that in the 3rd volume, right? Sort of
Yeah.
the power she was imbued with upon her decapitation. There was sort of like a ritual gone wrong.
Yeah, we're still not entirely sure why.
Feed us bits and pieces.
Yeah. And we don't know a ton about Norgal, although this gives us a little bit of insight into his backstory.
Oh,
Each
yeah.
volume gives you a little bit more, and I love that about it. You don't need the full picture to understand that this is a fun quest story. You don't need the full picture to get a real kick out of seeing him lop heads off monsters, get coin for sort of dispensing monsters,
Mhm.
seeing Agatha make fun of him as he tries to do stuff.
Mhm.
Like, you can enjoy like a fun adventure romp without the context, but the context of all the volumes makes these stories really rich and fun, because there is like a very rich lore about how the world is set up and the relationships of the characters to one another. So I recommend reading all of it, but you can start here. And what a fabulous place to start. It's a great new addition to the world building. I'm really excited to see these sort of like new realms we're gonna explore. I'm really excited to see them outrun some dispatched riders who are on their tail.
And we get a map in the first double spread. There's
Yeah.
a gorgeous map of the lands they'll be exploring.
I mean, we got a map of Vara.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get all the Chotskis. I have, like, the Norgal toy. I have, like, the Agatha plushie head.
Yeah,
sitting
I only
in my
have the
office.
3 traits, so I'm
Yeah.
not as real of a fan as you.
I have the map of, like, the canvas map of Vara.
Oh, I forgot you had. Where did you get that?
It came with the head.
Of course. Damn.
Yeah.
Wednesday to Wednesday. I be going hard from like Wednesday to Wednesday.
Yeah, hey, pal. You got that one where Superman goes to Supertown? Yeah, I got that when it come out. I like the 4th world.